This is Jarrod Horak. Welcome to my latest Road to the 2023 Kentucky Oaks video. And in this video, I'm going to do analysis of the Fantasy Stakes at Oaklawn Park for Saturday, April 1st. Now, my next video, I'm going to do analysis of the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby. And then earlier this week, I did analysis of the Gulfstream Park Oaks and the Florida Derby. You can find all of those videos on my YouTube channel. If you're interested in my full card analysis and for the Triple Crown Series this year, just like I cover every year, Kentucky Derby Day, Preakness, and Belmont Stakes Day full cards. You'll find those full cards at therunawayhorse.com on my sales page later this spring. If you go over there right now, you'll see all of the products that I'm going to be covering for the Triple Crown Series for 2023. Now we'll get into the analysis of this Fantasy Stakes. It's going to be the 10th race at Oaklawn Park for Saturday, April 1st, 2023. Grade 3, $600,000 Fantasy Stakes, 3-year-old fillies, a mile and a 16th on the main track, with a scheduled post time 6:35 p.m. Eastern Time. And She's Lookin' Lucky will break from the inside post. This is a daughter of Lookin' at Lucky, and I liked her sire when he was on the racetrack. He was my Kentucky Derby and Preakness top choice when he ran, and he did win the Preakness Stakes. And this daughter of Lookin' at Lucky, she's run 4 times, and she didn't run well in her first 2 starts for trainer Al Stall Jr. Maybe she was okay in her debut. She raced 4th throughout in a 9-horse field in her 6.5 furlong debut. And she was 9th, beaten 24 lengths on a good track in a dirt route, second time out at Fairgrounds. And then she moved to the Matt Shira barn, her first start for her current trainer, mile and 70 yards, a race originally scheduled for the turf course and run on the main track at Fairgrounds on February 9th. She pressed from an outer post, she took over, she widened throughout, she graduated by 13 lengths. Last time out, optional claiming route, a mile and a 16th at Oaklawn Park on March 5th. She stalked the pace from an inner post, and she was clearly second best, no match for the winner. Now, she raced with Lasix in her last 3 starts. She does lose Lasix in here. This is her stakes debut, and she should save all the ground stalking the pace. Grand Love is going to be a pace factor in here for trainer Steve Asmussen, and this daughter of Gunrunner set the pace in her first 3 starts. She went wire to wire in her career debut at 6.5 furlongs at Saratoga last summer. Second time out, a Kentucky Oaks points race, the Pocahontas Stakes, mile and a 16th at Churchill Downs. She went to the front. She finished 3rd in that 12-horse field. In her 3rd start, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies from post 9 in a 13-horse field, she set the pace. She weakened to finish 6th, beaten 6 lengths. Her first start this year in the Slop, the Grade 3 Honeybee Stakes. She raced in 3rd place throughout in that 12-horse field. And the 2 horses that finished in front of her, Wet Paint and Condensation, are also back in this race, along with a few others from that Honeybee. So Grand Love, second start after a layoff. Tyler Gaffalione gets aboard, and I think they're probably going to try to aggressively handle her like they did in her first 3 starts, but she will need to run faster. Towhead is next for trainer Mike Maker. This is a daughter of Malibu Moon, and she is 10-1 morning line. Fairly consistent. She's run 9 times, 2 wins, 3 seconds, and 2/3. She started in back-to-back dirt sprints in her career debut. In the Slop, she was second by a neck in her debut. Second time out, she was an even 3rd of 8. And then they moved her over to the turf course for her next 4 starts. She actually wired the field in a turf route at Saratoga on July 24th of last year, but that race was declared a no contest. And then in her next race at Saratoga at a mile and a 16th, maiden special weight company, she stalked, she led, she was 3rd. They ran her in a couple stakes races, the Juvenile Fillies Stakes at Kentucky Downs on yielding turf. She was second by a nose. The Grade 2 Jessamine at Keeneland, she was 8th, beaten 8 lengths. Now they moved her back to the main track for her last 4 starts. Back in the maiden ranks on October 30th at a mile and a 16th in the Slop, she was second, beaten a length and a half after setting the pace. She wired the field and got that maiden win. That was last November at Churchill Downs on a fast track. And then she followed that up with another win when she added Lasix in an optional claiming race at Oaklawn Park on January 20th. She stalked. She won by more than 3 lengths. The Honeybee Stakes in the Slop last time, she was an even 5th of 12. I think that she wants a fast track, and she's got that early pressing speed, and she's not out of this at 10-1. Taxed is next, and she's 30-1 morning line. This filly's taking blinkers off in here. She's run 6 times with a win and a second. She broke her maiden in a maiden claiming 50,000 at Churchill Downs in a 1-turn mile last fall. She was claimed out of that race. Matt Shira had her. Randy Morse claimed her. Then she was 4th in the year's end stakes at Oaklawn. She was 2nd in the Martha Washington. That was on a wet fast track. And then the Honeybee Stakes, she was 9th, beaten 7 lengths after attending the pace. So taking those blinkers off, look for her to be forwardly placed. Take Charge Briana is next for trainer D. Wayne Lucas. This daughter of Curlin has run 10 times. She's only has one win and then 1 second and 2 third place finishes. She's 0 for 4 at Oaklawn Park and 0 for 5 at this distance. She did run a decent race last time out, an optional claiming race, second by a neck. She was back on Lasix that day, and now she's going to be putting the blinkers on. And her stakes races haven't been very good. In the Honeybee Stakes, she was 7th, beaten 8 lengths. The Martha Washington, she was 4th in that 6-horse field. The Year's End Stakes, she was a well-beaten 3rd. The Goldenrod, she was pulled up and banned off that day. The Myrtlewood Stakes, she was 4th. The Alcibiades, 10th by 20. So she's had a lot of stakes experience. She just hasn't broken through with a good effort in the stakes ranks yet. Number 6, Wet Paint, is your 8-5 morning line favorite. This daughter of Blame for trainer Brad Cox. Flavian Pratt will get back aboard, and he was aboard for her last 2 starts. They were both victories in Kentucky Oaks points races at Oaklawn Park at a mile and a 16th. Wet Fast Track in the Martha Washington Stakes, she rallied from last place to win that one. And then she rallied from 11th in a 12-horse field in the Honeybee to win that one going away by 3 lengths. So those 2 efforts were very good. She hasn't run on a fast track yet, so if the track is fast here, she's going to be trying something different. She did handle the fast track, but that was on an all-weather surface at Turfway Park in December when she finished 2nd there. Then she began her career on turf. So we know she likes a wet track. She's 3 for 3 on a wet track. She graduated on a wet track as well. We're just going to have to see how she handles the fast track, and she does need pace help, and she's going to have to weave her way through some traffic. But in the 12-horse field last time, she didn't have any trouble getting through the traffic. Pate is next, and this is a daughter of Super Saver for trainer Mike Maker, 20-1 morning line, and he moves to his to the Mike Maker barn she moves to his barn for the first time in this race. Her first 2 starts, dirt sprints at Remington Park, she was 2nd in both of them. Then her next start in the mud, she was 4th. At Oaklawn Park at 6 furlongs, she broke her maiden. That was a good effort on January 21st. And then in the mud at 6 furlongs last time out, Dixie Bell Stakes, she was 2nd, beaten a neck. The show finisher there was a next out stakes winner. And now Pate's going to try a route of ground for the first time. But with the sire Super Saver and the dam sire more than ready, she might be able to handle that added ground. And maybe she's a little bit interesting in here. She's not out of this on speed ratings. And at 20-1, maybe throw her in there. Royal Spa is next. This is a daughter of Violence. And she's run 3 times, 2 wins. She won her career debut going last to first in a dirt sprint last fall at Churchill Downs. In the slop in the Demoiselle Stakes 2nd time out, not a bad effort. She was an even 4th after chasing the pace from 2nd. She added Lasix in an allowance race in her first start this year at 6 furlongs on a good track at Oaklawn Park, March 2nd. She stalked the pace from an inner post, and she won by a length and 3/4. So now she's going to stretch back out, 2nd after a layoff. She improved her speed ratings in all 3 starts, and Ricardo Santana Jr. Rode her to victory last time, and he does good work with this barn. Olivia Twist is next. And this one is a daughter of Mishawish for trainer Todd Fincher. She's 3 for 5 lifetime, but she is 0 for 2 at Oaklawn and 0 for 2 at this distance. She won the Trapeze Stakes, and that was her 3rd win in a row at Remington Park last year. And then in her last 2 starts at Oaklawn, she just hasn't really been a threat against this kind of company. Martha Washington Stakes, she set the pace. She finished 5th by 11. The Honeybee Stakes from post 11, she ended up finishing 8th after making a wide move that day in that 12-horse field. She's 3 for 3 on a fast track, so I think a fast track would help her, but she's going to have to run faster against a tough field in here. Condensation is the daughter of Frosted, and she's number 10 at 10-1 morning line. And you got to like her record: 7 starts, 4 wins in 2 seconds. She won her first 3 career starts, and they were all 6 furlong sprint races. And then in her next six furlong sprint race, the Letellier Memorial at Fairgrounds late last year, she was 2nd best that day. And then another 6 furlong race, she was up the track. Then they stretched her out in her last 2 starts. Optional claiming race in the mud at Oaklawn Park on February 11th. She wired the field, and then last time out in the Honeybee, she set the pace, and she was 2nd behind Wet Paint. So from that outside post, they're probably going to have to aggressively handle her because she likes to get out there and set the pace like she did in her last 2 route races. I think they want to try to get out there and be part of the pace in this race as well. So obviously Wet Paint's the one to beat, but it's just a question of can she handle a fast track? But we'll see if it is fast. I know they're calling for a chance of rain at Oaklawn Park for Thursday and Friday, the 2 days prior to the Fantasy Stakes. But then on Fantasy Stakes Day, it's supposed to be sunny. So we'll have to see how much it's dried out since then, if there's still any moisture in the track. But Wet Paint's the one to beat on paper. And I'm going to go with Towhead in here as a value top choice. She's 10-1. She had back-to-back wins prior to that Honeybee in the slop, and those wins were dirt routes on a fast track. And I think if she can get that fast track in here, and she's got that early pressing speed and an inner post, I think she can work out a good trip. And at 10-1, she might be worth a play trying to defeat that favorite Wet Paint. Some other horses to consider in here. On the 1, she's Looking Lucky, the 8 Royal Spa, and then the 7 Pate. So here's how we'll play this race. I'll make a win wager on number 3, Towhead, play an exacta box, Towhead and Wet Paint, and then a trifecta. I'm going to key Wet Paint in second, and I'm going to use the 1, 3, 7, and 8 in first, the 6 Wet Paint in second, then the 1, 3, 7, and 8 in third. And that's my trifecta and all my wagering strategies for the Fantasy Stakes. Again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you like this content. And I'm going to be back, and I'm going to be doing the Arkansas Derby next. So until I see you next time, good luck at the races.